Hi you guys! Today we're going to be going over hashing, which is an essential part to cryptocurrencies, especially towards its protection and its creation. And it has a lot to do with Bitcoin mining, so we're going to be tying in a lot of different concepts within this hashing. And I just want to teach you everything you need to know about hashing. Like I'm teaching you everything you need to know about crypto, okay? And when I say hashing, we're not talking about hash browns, okay? No. So on that note, welcome back to Getting Digital with Deja. Okay, you guys, I know it's been a little while since I got on here talking about crypto, and I'm so sorry, but I've been in the process of moving, and I'm currently inside of my content room in my 2-bedroom high-rise apartment. It's so freaking exciting, you guys. I'm moving on up the ladder, staying focused, staying locked in, and reaping the benefits. But yeah, that's why I've been not doing my videos, because I wanted to do my videos in my content room, and it's not all the way done. I want it to be pink like the nails, but we're getting there. They want me to pay $200 to get these walls painted, like on top of rent. I'm just a girl. But you guys, okay, let's hop back into it. I just wanted to give you a little quick update on my life because I love you guys. Okay, guys, first things first, I'm the realist. Just kidding, but we're about to get into the textbook definition of hashing. Let's jump on in it. Okay, it's a method of cryptography that converts any form of data into a unique string of text of a fixed length. Hashing is a fundamental part in cryptography, which means it's very important. You are sweet, you are smart, you are important. So a hash works as a digital fingerprint. Let me explain. A unique piece of data will always, no matter what, produce the same hash. So that means if I put the data in and the data is goodbye, like the word goodbye, no capital G or anything like that, just goodbye. If I put it through a hash function, that hash function is going to create a hash output that is going to be specific and unique to that goodbye. Okay, now if I change anything with that goodbye, if I even just change the G on it to a capital G instead of a lowercase g, it's going to give me a completely different hash output. It's going through the same hash function, but it's going to give me a completely different hash output. And there's no way to even be able to tell what my input was in the first place. Just as our fingerprints are unique to us as human beings, a specific input into a hash function has a unique output as well. Nothing will ever be the same. It can never ever be duplicated using another input. It just doesn't work like that. You can put it 1,000,000 times and it will give you the same output 1,000,000 times. If I put goodbye, lowercase g, through a hash function 1,000,000 times through the hash function, it will give me an output, a hash value, the same every single time. Okay, now I know y'all probably hate it when I get all technical and stuff with this crypto stuff, but I have to. So I'm going to give you the textbook definition of a hash function so that you guys could fully understand what the heck I'm talking about. So a hash function is a mathematical operation that converts input data of arbitrary length into an output of fixed length that is executed using a certain algorithm. Okay, now let's give the textbook definition of an algorithm. An algorithm is a step-by-step set of instructions for performing calculations that are done by a software program. So essentially, it's done by a computer. So when it comes to a hash function, it doesn't matter what the input is. It could be a word, it could be a sentence, it could be an entire book, okay? But it's still going to put it into a string of letters and numbers, which is going to be a hash value that's going to be of a fixed length, okay? Whatever that hash function is, it has its own fixed length, like pre-programmed into it. But no matter what you put into it, it's going to be a fixed length at the end of it. So if you have like a whole book, a whole Harry Potter book that you put into the hash function that you type into in there, it can give you a hash value 64 characters. It took everything that you just put in there and made it 64 characters long, and there's no way you can even try to decipher what those 64 characters relate to, where they came from. You're definitely not gonna know that it came from a Harry Potter book. And that's the craziest part about this. If you spelled one wrong different from that Harry Potter book and you put it in a hash function, it's going to give you a completely different hash function, okay? Completely different, like night and day, okay? So that's the really crazy part about it, which is why it's so heavily used in crypto, because it's like, it's gonna hide a lot of information that you don't want other people to see, especially like hackers. But again, I want to repeat, no matter how long the input data that you put into it, it's going to make it into a fixed length based on what the programming in the hash function says it's going to be, okay? And that makes it the arbitrary part. That's where the arbitrary in the hash function definition that I gave you earlier comes from. It doesn't matter what you put in there. It's going to be a fixed length at the end of it, okay? So the hash is going to be an alphanumeric hash, okay? That means it's going to consist of numbers and letters within that hash value, okay? The hash value is essentially the final product or the output at the end, okay? So when you put it in, they call it, it's a lot of different names that they call it, but pre-image is also AKA input. So the data that you input into it will be called the pre-image, okay? And then so the output data that it gives you from that pre-image that you put inside of the hash function is going to be called a hash value. Or you can just call it an output. I mean, they have all these fancy names for it and things like that, but at the end of the day, input, output, bada bing, bada boom. So hash functions are a one-way operation. So essentially that means what you put into the hash function, the output, it can't be reversed. So you can't put the output into the hash function and figure out what the input is. It just can't be like that. It's totally irreversible, which means no matter what you put into it, once you get that output, you cannot put the output back into the hash function to try to figure out anything about the information, which is why it is so important in cryptocurrency. Okay, so cryptocurrencies are protected by cryptography. Do you guys remember what cryptography was? I said this in my other video, like 2 videos ago. Crypt stands for hidden, graphy stands for words or written, okay? Put it together, it's hidden, written, hiding what's written. Okay, so when you're trying to hide something, using a hash function right there is most definitely going to hide it, because the output cannot be inputted to find the original input, if you get what I mean. And you guys, I also went into the purpose of hashing. I wanted to get a really good and deep understanding of it, because I know that it's used for like to secure information and things like that, to like not let you know where this information came from and what's actually hidden within the information. But I'm like, there's more to it than just that, because it's just not used in cryptography. It's also used in like the internet, like in websites and just like everything. Every website you go on literally has a hash. So I wanted to get deeper into the purpose of hashing, is why I went through all that. So I have the textbook definition of the purpose of hashing. Hear me out, you guys. So it's to verify the integrity of a piece of data, useful for verifying the integrity of data sent through insecure communication channels like the internet. You guys, the internet is not a safe space. It's not. Everything is tracked. Everything can be hacked. Okay, moving on. Data integrity. Let's go into the textbook definition of that. The data hasn't been altered in an unapproved way. The hash value of received data can be compared to the hash value of data before it was sent to determine whether the data was altered. So let's talk about the different type of hash functions. One that used to be super popular was the MD5, and that stands for Message Digest 5, okay? It was commonly used essentially to secure data and things like that, but it has been hacked into so many times. Its encryptions are just like not as good as it used to be. So it's not commonly used as it used to be, but that is one that used to really be used. Now, this goes to show you that things that we think cannot be penetrated. Like how we say crypto was just like fraud proof and things like that because of all the technology and algorithms and stuff behind it. We'd be like, oh, it cannot be hacked into and things like that. They thought the same thing about this MD5. And now people can hack into it and do whatever they want to within seconds. Okay, so I just want to go to show you that over time, crypto will not be as secure as people think, or maybe it will get even more secure and people will have to try harder to be able to hack it. But a hacker is going to hack. A hacker is going to hack. So what's being used in the replacement of MD5 nowadays is going to be SHA, which stands for Secure Hash Algorithm, okay? And there are multiple versions of SHA. You have SHA 0, SHA 1, 2, 3, okay, things like that. And usually the higher the number at the end of the SHA, the more advanced and recent that version is. And the most important one for crypto at the moment, really for a lot of functions actually, is going to be SHA-2. Okay, and the reason that is because SHA-2, this is like a tongue twister, but SHA-2 encompasses SHA-256, SHA-256, which is used to mine Bitcoin, okay? And it's not only used to mine Bitcoin, you guys. So, you know, when you have a website, like a link or something like that, and it says like HTTPS / all this other stuff like that. Okay, well, the S at the end of that HTTP, gosh, I'm sorry, stands for secure. And that's where the SHA-256 function is going to be used to incorporate some hashing. So you'll see that string of letters and numbers within that link that makes no total sense. But if you send that link to whoever in the world, it's going to always direct you to the same exact place. Okay, so this function is not just used in crypto, okay? It's not just used for Bitcoin, which is why it's so important. This can actually be used for so many different things. I mean, like every website essentially uses this. And it's a way to control and monitor the tracking of traffic that's going through. Who's clicking on this? Who's receiving this? Who's giving this out? You know, who's visiting this website and things like that. Those are those little trackers, those little cookies and things like that. All of that is going to be using this SHA-256. Okay, you guys. So what this SHA-256 does is it's going to take a string of data, like example from Bitcoin, a string of data, and no matter how long or short the data is, it's going to take that data and it's going to put it into the function, and it's going to give you a string of 64 alphanumeric characters. That means 64 letters and numbers combined in a string of data. Okay, now that 64 alphanumeric characters is going to equal to 256 bits. We're talking about Bitcoin now, 256 bits. And it's going to need 1 million bits to make 1 Bitcoin. I just thought that that was like a fun thing, you know? That's why it's called SHA-256, because it creates 256 bits, okay, which is needed by Bitcoin, and 1 million bits is going to equal 1 Bitcoin. I sounded so freaking smart, you guys. All right, you guys, it's time for a fun fact. Okay, you guys, a real world example of a hash function being used that we actually use ourselves every single day, especially if you're an adult, is your email password. So these email platforms like Yahoo or Gmail and things like that, they don't actually save your actual password, they save your hash. Okay, so when you create a password on that platform and things like that, it's going to create a hash. It's going to take that input that you put as your password, it's going to put into a hash function, and it's going to have a hash output or a hash value that comes out, and that's what gets stored on their network, on their site, and things like that. So the reason for doing this is that so if some hackers or something hacks into their network, into their website and things like that, they will not be able to decipher people's passwords, because the hash value cannot be used or put into a hash function to figure out what the initial or original hash input was, okay? And this is really, really important. Now, some of you might be like, well, when I say my password to my email, things like that, I can click on it and see my password and things like that. Yes, you can save your password to your computer and things like that. Yes, indeed, and you can see it, you can log in. Okay, great. But it's that hash function, it's that hash value that's going to be saved on their networks. on their networks, okay? So if someone tries to get into your account, or even if you try to get into your account and you put the wrong password or even just the wrong character, so it's supposed to be an exclamation point at the end and you left it out, or you put a star or something, that system, when you put it into that, you know, field, the system is going to put it into a hash function and it's going to create an output. And if that output doesn't match the output that is saved on their network, it's going to say incorrect password. Okay, that's why when you put your password in, it has to always match 100%. Nothing can be off. It can't be like, oh, this is a pretty close password. No, everything has to match hand in hand. So it's going off of the hash value, okay? Which is created by whatever you input into that little field, into the password field. Does that, I feel like that made total sense, you guys. Okay, so as you can see, this is really important when it comes to Bitcoin mining and the creation of other cryptocurrencies, essentially because we don't want something to be doubled. We don't want a duplicate of anything out there. We don't want a duplicate of XRP coin out there, a duplicate of a Bitcoin coin out there. No, we want our own original unique fingerprints for each coin. And the way to do that is through hashing and through cryptography, those working hand in hand together to make it all work. Okay? And so you guys, that is it today for hashing. So I really hope that I explained that really good. I feel like I did a really great job. I need to get paid for this, you guys. YouTube! You hear this? I need to start getting paid for this. Okay? But you guys, that's all I have for today. And I will be back on Wednesday. I will actually be back on Wednesday. I have a whole content room. I'm done moving, you guys. So I'll be back on Wednesday with another topic for our crypto series. And remember, I'm teaching all things crypto. So I hope you guys are excited for the next topic I have coming up. It's a surprise. But on that note, you guys, I shall see you on Wednesday. But don't forget that pretty girls can do crypto too. Bye, guys.